No question. Okay. Another question. It says, please state clearly your current ownership position with respect to the club.
That's my question.
Okay. Well, I'll come back to that because there's a lot of other questions.
There's another question on that as well. Will you get back to that one?
On the back?
No, aren't there two?
No.
Oh, on my.
I'm going to leave yours out a little bit because I need to respond to other people. I'll leave yours to the end. And then, are improvements to the club contingent on the residential component being approved?
Like, for example, if the residential doesn't get approved, does that change your plans for the club?
Well, the way it should be done, I mean, and that's like the proper way for it to be done. I mean, part of the reason we have a conflict here today is what Chappelle did is he basically took this entire neighborhood and left this piece out and did make it part of the association and sold it for a profit, for a private use. And here we are 40 years later with this conflict. What you do want for all of us here involved is that you do want an overall plan for this property because you don't want somebody to come and do the club and then 5 years from now come back and say, well, I want to put, a high-rise, being facetious, but, I want to put some other use there later on. I think it would be important for the entire community to be part of what the overall plan is, because now the way cities operate, like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, there were like no disclosures. So if you as a builder come in, let's say, and say, I want to do this property here, and I'm going to give this property here to the association, I could actually tell you that, and then legally, which is what Chappelle did, I don't include it in the CC&Rs, okay, and I sell it to a private user, and that's exactly what happened. Because of these types of examples over the years in every city in every state, cities have actually honed down on this and said, look, if you have a plan for this piece of property, now we want our city attorney to look at your CC&Rs. Now your PD, okay, once it's approved, it's fixed and you cannot change it, okay? And it's locked in. So I would say that whatever we end up doing here, it would be important, okay, that all of this be addressed, okay, no matter what it is, whether it's housing or one massive club or whatever it is, once and for all, so you don't get back somebody after us 10 years from now to say, I want to do this. This time, once it's locked in, it cannot be changed. Just because of how the rules have changed over the years legally in terms of how cities operate. Does that make sense?
Okay, no, well, so if I understand your answer correctly, when you make if I understand you correctly, when you make your proposal to the city, you're making one proposal for the club and the residential component combined. You're not separating them out.
Yeah, I mean, considering all the controversy over this, if we had come in and did it, otherwise people would say we're trying to trick the neighborhood. So what we're doing is we're looking at the whole thing and saying, okay, this is the plan, it's locked in, it can never be changed. Once it's approved, it's over with. Okay? And that cannot be revisited 5 or 10 or 20 years from now. The reason this is being revisited on this piece of property, again, is because Chappelle said that this piece of property is going to be open space, but sold it to a private use. And the city in the late 70s, early 80s allowed a club use on it. And that's why we have a problem today, is that people have bought it over the years thinking that they could do something with it. And here you are like almost 40 years later. And there's a use on it for profit. And in addition, people are paying property taxes on it for the last 40 years. So, people have rights to the piece of property. Let me go to the next question. Hopefully I answered. So you would want it to be as a whole. Who would be eligible to join the club? Homeowners of the new development, Kimber Park residents, public at large. What are the anticipated dues? That's the question. Okay.
So again, it seems like you could, right now, club is open to anyone. Like, we don't live near the club. We don't live in Kimber Park, but we're still, eligible to be members. Is this anticipated to be a club that would only be for the local homeowners, or what?
No, it's a club for everybody, but I think it depends on how what the reaction is and how we work with the community together. We can say that priority is given to the people who live there first, and then to the people who don't live there, but maybe not. But right now we don't envision that. We say whoever wants to be a member can be a member. So it's not exclusive to the people who live in these homes now.
Will there be a a limit on the number?
Of course, there's going to be a limit. I mean, every club in every city, in every state has a limit as to how many members they can have. But, as with any club, you have members that use it, and then all of a sudden some people drop off, there's opening, and then you add some new members. There's usually a waiting list. Next question. How did you come up with 5 tennis courts based on the ratio of 8 membership? I don't understand that. What is the waiting time for sign up a court on the weekends? Last question.
That's my question. In the beginning of this club, there's 7 courts. And later on, the increase membership, the increase in the tennis court. Now you reduce the 5 courts. How many membership will you anticipate to sign up for the club? Because if I pay $300 or $400 a month, during the weekend, I have to wait for 2 hours, so I will sign up 2 hours again. So do you have any plan? What's the ratio right now? How many members per court? And in the future, how many members per court? That's my question.
Okay, I can't really answer that one, but I can tell you this, that, I would agree that the way the club is being managed today is managed poorly, and therefore it's difficult to say, why the waiting time is so long. But usually when, let's say, there's a long weekend, like the 4th of July weekend, or some other, like event, it is difficult to get tennis courts, and sometimes it isn't. So it doesn't really matter how many courts we put. There will always be, at certain points, a demand. It's almost like a hotel. I mean, sometimes they stay vacant, and then, on certain events, they're totally full. And this would be the same. But we feel that 5 courts and 3 mini courts would be the appropriate number of courts for this club based on the current membership of the current club right now. We don't have like 1,000 members. We don't have 1,500 members. This club has 500 members, and it's now down to 300. So based on that number, okay, I think 5 courts managed properly would be the right thing. If we feel that, that can change, we can add courts. We can add a court, not later in the future. We could make it part of our plan now, depending on the input that we hear from the community. There is room to add 1 or 2 courts, but the point is that we don't feel that we would need more courts based on the current number of members, and we can't have a lot more. This is the number right now. The entire club looks like shrinking to a size that makes me wonder who the members will be. Only in the immediate neighborhood. What about membership fees? Right now, this whole area is like a vacation spot for many people in Fremont, and that's it. I think you asked that question, right? No?
That's my question, yeah.
Yeah?
Once it's gone, you can't get it
But I'm
back.
saying that you asked that question.
Yeah, that's the question, because the area is shrinking, only a limited number of people can become members and actually use the space. That means probably only the people who live there now or would live there can become members, and then the people who are members now don't get a chance to use it because there's no space for it.
Well, actually, the club is not shrinking. Okay? The land right now is being basically used as nothing. The back part of the land is kind of open, and there's some courts on it, and then the front is basically has like lots of groves and trees, and the club area that we're proposing on using is actually going to be larger and will have more uses in it than it currently has. So it really is not shrinking, it's actually being used more efficiently in the use of how we're using space. This is the difference.
Well, I can count if the tennis courts are shrinking from 7 to 5, and the floor is getting smaller. That means the area that I can use is getting smaller.
Well, actually, the pool is getting bigger. The spot is getting bigger. Yeah, this is the lap pool for sure. And then this is this has a spa. So what we're doing is we're shifting the use. What we're trying to do is this: is that we feel, okay, that as owners of this club, we're saying this is a park, and at the same time we're addressing this issue that we own this club. Okay, and that it's basically a property, okay, that, we receive, you receive income on and you pay taxes on and expenses and payroll. So this goes back, I'm going to answer your question in the end. So it's almost like a double jeopardy. It's like, you see the obvious, but people don't want to accept it. But the point is that we don't feel that the tennis club, just as a tennis club the way it is today, is going to work out financially. It's not. I mean, we already know that. So what we're trying to do is not take away that feature. We're trying to keep it, minimize it a little bit, and add additional features that we believe, okay, are more useful to the community. I mean, that's been tested everywhere. I mean, everybody knows that these other uses, okay, are more beneficial to the community than just having courts. I mean, we know that.
And open space, which will be part open space.
Well, oh, these are the ones I'm done with. So
Okay.
these additional questions,
Yeah.
you need to kind of give them to me.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll get lost. So, but the additional space, remember, 4 acres. I mean, not like 10,000 square feet, not like 15,000 square feet. 4 acres are going to benefit the people who are club members and benefit the people who live in the community. So that's a huge piece. So right now, if you're really looking at it, it is really not shrinking in size. It's just becoming more efficient, and we're just allocating something to the community, something to the club. That's what we're doing. Nice question. Why would you want to see the back fences of the property? All homes in the neighborhood face out. We do not want any development. Well, the reason we wanted to do that is because the people who are already, I mean, like I said earlier, we understand how important this property is to the people who live there. We understand that really people care about this, and we're really trying to be sensitive about it. And I know you don't see it fully right now, but if you really give it the chance to see it, you'll see how much thought we put into this. The reason we didn't do that is because people do not want, lights and activities facing them right here when they've lived there for so many years. So we're trying to give it an internal focus. So A, you will not be looking at just fencing, okay? And I will explain that to you in the section. And then second, the reason we're doing that is that so it interferes minimally with the existing residents that are there. So there's no traffic issues occurring in front of their homes. There are no nuances occurring in front of their homes. Everything is internally focused, and the ingress and egress to the homes would be away from any street, because there are no streets back here that serve this hill. If you look at this section right here, and if you look at some of these drawings right here, we tried to create like a variety in terms of fencing and planting and around the existing trees. So what we've done is, let me get a thing so we can point better. So what we've done is on this side right here, we've actually jogged the fence over around some of the prominent trees that are existing trees. And what we've used is that we're using a stone type fence right there with some columns that kind of delineate the spacing of the fencing. And we have in some areas the fence going against like boulders to give it that natural look. On the other side, from here all the way back to here, we're using the same stone columns, but we're using a metal fence, and we're doing planting on both sides so it creates screening. So you're really not seeing just the fence. You rarely see a fence. Because if you look at this right here, okay, this is the long section. This is where the fence is. There will be screening on this side because there's trees existing here, and we can add more trees. There will be trees here and planting. This is the walk. This is a mound, and the street is here. So the people who are here will never really be able to see the home just because of the topography of the land. And this is even more pronounced on this side right here because the street is here, the home is here, and this would be on the other side.
I disagree because I think you're going to see nothing but the fence. It's going to be up above and
Believe me, you won't see
pointing out.
just the fence.
It seems like it's completely inconsistent with the neighborhood. We want zero development.
Okay. What is the membership fee? How many houses will be built to prevent rezone?
That's my question.
Sorry.
So, the club dude, we already talked about that. And then one thing I want to mention that I was the club sport member before. And at that time we were paying like about 200 something. Compared to the Mission Hill that we are paying much less than that. That's why I left Club Sport Fremont to join Mission Hill. Now with new proposal, we have only 5 courts.
Not doing that, please.
Only 5 courts.
You want that
compared
off?
to
Okay.
8 courts in